People think the Grand Canyon is empty after dark, but if you camp near Bright Angels Point, you might see something glowing in the cliffs long after sunset, like an office building covered in rock. And in fact, these lights are so common that some locals in northern Arizona have a name for this story. It's called the Canyon's Pulse. And we got a story from a listener who camped there. But before I get into that, it's important to note that these stories started back in the 1950s when a group of park rangers reported seeing a column of white fire rising from the Grand Canyon floor. Mysteriously, the ranger logs from that week have disappeared. This story came from Meredith, and she says last spring she and two friends were camping on the north rim of the Grand Canyon near Bright Angel Point. She said that part of the park is closed for a lot of the year, but they were camping in May, partially because they wanted to go before all the crowd showed up. And where they were camping was just outside of the official boundary of the park. It was down an old Forest Service road just off of Point Sublime Trail. Now, Meredith said they didn't have any service where they were camping at, and once the sun went down, it was total darkness, total silence. They went to bed early. She woke up around midnight needing to pee, and so she went off to the bathroom. That's when she noticed a faint blue light coming from deep within the canyon. She thought at first maybe it was a headlamp, but this was coming from deep below the rim, way past any campsite, way past any trail. She quickly rules out that it's a headlight or a flashlight because it pulsed 3 short bursts and then it went dark. She could not for the life of her figure out what it was. So she woke up her friends, they went to the edge of the rim again, and they were looking for this light, and that's when it reappeared. But this time there were more of them. The original light lit up and then there was another one to the east, but she said this must have been miles from the original light. They all stood at the edge watching, and they see a third light come on, and they're all pulsing and blinking in different patterns and different rhythms, and it almost seems like they're sending signals to each other. And that's when she said something happened that she still can't really explain, but her friends saw it too. The whole canyon, for a split second, lit up as if from within. She said, I swear to you, it looked like there were actual windows glowing behind the rock face like an office building lit up at night. She said you could even make out the pattern, square shapes of light stacked in rows fading deep within the canyon. And then she said as suddenly as it lit up, it went dark, and that's when they heard a low mechanical hum coming from deep down below them. And at that point, they noticed a dark helicopter that swept over the rim. It was totally dark, totally unmarked, and without lights. She said they didn't even hear it until it was almost right above them, but it turned into the gorge and then disappeared completely from sight. When the helicopter disappeared, the 3 lights that they saw originally also went out completely. The next day, they went over to the overlook at Bright Angel Point, and they were looking for any signs of campsites or anything from down below that could have explained what they experienced the night before, but they couldn't find anything. And they actually ended up telling a ranger what they saw, and he said, oh, those were probably just survey drones. So Meredith said she asked him, like, what kind of survey drone can make the inside of a canyon look like an office building, and he didn't answer. They stayed one more night but didn't notice anything strange, so they camped 2 nights, and then the following morning they left and were driving toward Jacob Lake, and they were going to grab some breakfast. They ended up stopping at a diner that she said looked like it had been there forever, and their server was this older woman with her hair pulled tight into a gray bun. She was pleasant, she was polite, she was making conversation with them, and so they told her about the black helicopter and the lights they saw in the canyon. But this woman didn't even bat an eye. She's like, oh, you saw them, huh? And they're like, we saw them. What do you mean? She's like, yeah, y'all aren't the first people this month to see them. We call that the Canyon's Pulse. And then she leans in and she's like, back when I started here, the rangers used to come in here and they would talk about these pulsing lights and nobody knew what they were. Not even the rangers. They would show up, they would pulse, a black helicopter would fly down, and then they would all go out. Meredith and her friends press her for a more concrete answer, but she said she doesn't really know much. And she said some people say they're survey drones, and that makes sense, sure. Other people think it's related to the Cold War experiments they were doing at Camp Navajo. She tells them that they'll never admit to anything, though. But then she says, I think that it's the canyon itself. I think the canyon watches people. I think it's alive. And then Meredith and her friends are like, why do you think that? The woman smiles and she says, yeah, when I was young, I was hiking with my brother, and I swear the whole canyon lit up like a city. There were lights coming from everywhere. And I just felt like the canyon wanted to be seen. I can't explain it further than that. It's just a feeling that I... And so Meredith's like, well, has anyone else around here seen it? Or what do they think? And this old woman's just like, nobody around here thinks anything. Everybody around here knows. Meredith said she's been back to the Grand Canyon twice, and although she hasn't seen the lights again, she just has this feeling now that there's something buried and ancient there that's hiding in plain sight. So yeah, let me know your thoughts. I've only been to the Grand Canyon once when I was too little to remember it, but I would love to go back. So anybody local, please weigh in. If you're new here, my series is called Spooky Scary Storytime, and I try to post a new story almost every single day about the things that people experience that they think nobody else would believe.
Okay, I just got into the algorithm of people sharing their kind of spooky, scary stories while hiking, or a lot of Appalachia stories. This is not Appalachia, but about 3 years ago near Idaho Springs, in, I want to say, February, March, maybe April. I'm somewhere in that time frame where there's still snow. My friend and I drove up to Hell's Hole Trail, and we couldn't get far because there was so much snow. We're in a Jeep. We park on the side. We're going to snowshoe up and snowshoe as much of the trail as we could. And as we start to go up with 4 dogs, big dogs, we're walking up the trail, and there is a pickup truck sideways blocking the road. And there's a man there, clearly stuck in the snow. We're like, okay, that happens. He's not afraid of the dogs, and the dogs are taught to ignore people unless, like, otherwise told. So, the dogs kind of all surround him. We're like, everything okay? And he is wearing, what looked to be, like, fishing waders around him, and then, like, a bright yellow shirt. Pickup truck plates, I want to say, were, I'm going to forget, but the plates did not match the place he told us he was from. It was a different state, and it was not Colorado. And we're on the trail, and he's like, yeah, my car's stuck. And we're like, I mean, we can try to help push it if you want. And there's, like, a kind of like a cliff edge and, like, trees on one side, and the rest is just gravel and covered in snow. So we tried to push it, my friend and I. Didn't get it very far. So my friend's like, well, why don't I get in the front seat, and I'll try to give it some gas, and you and my friend push. So she gets in the front seat, starts the car, we're pushing, makes a little ways, stuck again. And we're like, you know what, sorry, like, we obviously can't help you. And he was like, oh, it's okay, I've been camping up there the last few days. My friend's still up there. My friend Connor's still up there, and I was supposed to meet him. And we don't see any other cars, and also, you don't really camp at that time of the year when there's that much snow. I mean, you could, but it was odd. His trunk was filled with a bunch of stuff. He told us he had just gone to a storage unit, like, auction, and he didn't get much. We're like, okay. So he had told us that he tried to chop down a tree branch to use as, like, a lever system to get the truck out of the snow. And then as we're leaving, my friend was like, the axe was on the front seat, and I instinctively threw it in the back. And she saw, like, little bags of, like, what looked to be like women's jewelry, which would kind of match the storage unit situation, but not fully. And she saw a woman's bag and sunglasses or something, and he was by himself. Oh, I'm getting the chills. And so we walk away, and he gets out. The car gets out all of a sudden, and we were just like, something's off. Like, the hair on the back of our neck stood up. We're not that far from the car. So I'm like, I don't think we should go here. Like, he can drive now. So we book it back to the car, and he pulls over and stops us. And he's like, where are you going? I thought you were hiking this. And we were like, actually, too much snow. We're headed out. And he said, where are you going? We're like, don't know yet. But literally run to the car, lock the doors. Oh, he tries to give us these bags of, like, women's jewelry or whatever he had from the storage unit, and was like, here, like, for your help. And I was like, nope, don't want any of that. Get in the car, lock the doors, and he gets in front of us, and he's driving down the road, and we're going for like 5 minutes. We have no service, key parts. And we get halfway down the road. He is then kind of blocking the road, and he's outside of his car. And we get close, we don't even make eye contact, and just zoom around him. At one point, we were like, fucking hit the car. Like, not that was the best idea, but, like, panicked. So then we're driving, and he drives again. And then we see him pulled over in, like, just like a little pull-out spot on the side of the road before you get to the town of Idaho Springs. Don't know how he got in front of us. There's not that many roads around there. And the second we get into service, we called the cops, and we were just like, gave the license plate, gave the spot he was parked at, told the situation. I was like, I don't know if he's hiding from something. I don't know if he has a friend up there, or what they did, or why he has all this stuff from the storage unit. But someone go check on this man. And they did. And I mean, we didn't get a, like, update or anything, but always still freaks me out. And this was, I think it was like February to April timeframe, 2022. So if anyone saw the same situation, let me know. It's fucking weird. Spooky story. Oh my god.
Never thought I'd be scared of a knock-knock joke, that's for sure. But after listening to this story last night, I had to go to the restroom, and the whole time I'm in the restroom, I'm like, no one better knock on my door right now. No one better knock on my door. So the guy gets woken up by his girlfriend saying, knock, knock. He looks at the time, and it is 3:27 in the morning, and he is so confused. So he's like, what are you doing? Why are you waking me up saying knock, knock? And her response to all of that is, knock, knock. And he's like, what the fuck? Like, we're asleep. Why are you waking me up trying to get me to play this little game with you by saying knock, knock? And his girlfriend's like, just answer me. And she goes, knock, knock. And he's like giving up. So he's like, fine, who's there? And she says, it's not me, don't open the door. Turns around and goes back to sleep, and he stays there like, what the fuck? So he ends up going to bed still, and the following morning he wanted to ask her why she did that, and it almost seemed like she was trying to ignore his question, but she ends up telling him, oh, it's just a little prank that I thought of, and like she leaves to work. Like she was trying everything to avoid the question for whatever reason. So they both go to work, they have dinner, and they go to bed, and again he gets woken up by her saying, knock, knock. He looks at the clock and it's 3:27 in the morning, and he looks at her and says, you already told me this was a prank. Why are you doing this again? Let's just go back to sleep. And the only thing she responds to him with is, knock, knock. So he's irritated and he's like, what is the point of this? What are you doing? Like, just tell me what's the end game. All she says is, just answer, knock, knock. And he's like, fine, who's there? And she goes, it's not me, don't open the door. She turns around and goes back to bed. So at this point, the boyfriend is angry because he's like, why is she waking us up over a stupid prank or joke or a game when we both have to work the next day? So that morning when they woke up to go to work, he was like, you need to tell me why you're doing this. And she wasn't going to leave the door like she did the first night, not really giving him a real answer. So he's like, you need to tell me why. What's the end game? What are you doing? However, she gives him the same answer. It's just a game. It's just a game. Like, and he's like, why? And she's like, it's a game. And she just like leaves the house. So as you can imagine, they come home, have dinner, go to sleep, and again she wakes him up at 3:27 in the morning, but this time he's not answering. He's like, why are you doing this? What is the end game? And she goes, just answer, knock, knock, just answer. And he's like, no. And she's like, answer, knock, knock, answer. And he's like, I'm not answering, why are you doing this? So he's like, you know you're causing a problem in our relationship. This isn't a joke anymore. You're waking me up in the middle of the night when we both have to go to work. So no, I don't want to play your game. Why are you doing this? You're like creating issues in our relationship. And she's still like, answer, please, answer, knock, knock. So he ends up saying, who the fuck is it? Like, who the fuck is at that door? And she goes, it's not me, don't open the door. She turns around and goes to sleep. So morning comes around and he wants to have a serious conversation with her. So he tells her, I don't know how or what kind of conversation I need to have with you to let you know that it's really messed up that you keep waking us up in the middle of the night and it's creating a big problem. And this time she was like apologetic. She's like, I'm sorry, I don't mean to do it. I just thought it was a game. He's angry with that answer because it makes no fucking sense where you keep doing this to him, you know what I mean? So he storms out. He goes to work, and all day she's sending him text messages like, I'm sorry, and she's calling him, he's not answering. He's ignoring everything. He mentions that the last text that she sends him is like, I'm so sorry, I know that sleep is important, I promise this is not gonna happen again, please forgive me. The boyfriend kind of starts feeling bad because they had never argued like this before, so for him to ignore her calls or texts made him feel a little bit guilty. So he's like, okay, well, I'm gonna forgive her and I'm gonna make her dinner because I don't want this to be like the end of us. So he goes home, he makes her dinner, they eat together, and they go to bed. This time he gets woken up again with a knock knock. He glances at the clock and it's 3:27 in the morning, and he says that he wants to get up and just scream at the top of his lungs. Like he wants to grab everything in that room and just fucking break it apart. So he says that he turns to look at his girlfriend that's probably next to him, like say knock knock, but instead she's standing on the bed looking down at him with the craziest smile saying knock knock. The way he describes this smile, I don't know if you guys ever seen that movie, oh my god, the movie Smile, okay, where it's like extended and it looks freaky. He's like, the smile was very off-putting. It was not like her normal smile. So as he's looking up at her with that weird fucking smile, he says, what are you doing? And in between that smiley face, she's telling him, knock knock. Oh my god, I got chills. At that moment, after she says knock knock again with her weird ass fucking smile, he says that her body started cracking and bending, and it was like a scene from a scary movie, and it scared him so much that he jumps out of bed and runs to the kitchen. But once he gets to the kitchen to catch a breath, he hears a knock at the front door. When he hears the knock, his first instinct is like, who is it? And it's his girlfriend's voice saying, love, please open the door. Whatever is in there is not me. Open the door, please. Whatever is in there is not me. Open the door, please. Please open the door. Don't listen to the person that's in there. Open the door. He has no idea what to do because he's like, who's the real one? In the bedroom, outside the door. But in that moment, he had no time to do anything because whoever was in the bedroom, his girlfriend, comes out with that creepy smile, running full force towards him. But by the time she's about to get to him, he faints, passes out because of how scared he was. He says that he wakes up 2 hours later and his girlfriend is nowhere in that home. He says that he hasn't seen her since. He even made a police report or a missing person report because he has not heard of her. He has not seen her. Like, she's disappeared and has never returned. Honestly, that scares me more because what if one day she comes back with her creepy ass smile? Can you imagine? Knock, knock. Oh, I just scared myself. Anyway, what do you guys think? Because first of all, the first knock, knock, if my husband woke up and said knock, knock, and I'm like, who's there? It's not me, don't open the door. Divorced, bitch. What the fuck?
Okay, I am crashing out and I need somebody to listen to me because I'm tired of bugging my friends with this. So this is going to be a story time about my psycho ex-neighbor who is still torturing me to this day, even though we don't live in the same complex anymore. Okay? So listen, please. Okay, we're going to call her Mary. Okay? So my husband and I moved above Mary in 2021. The first day we moved in, I'm unpacking, putting things away. My husband is at work and she comes up to my door and she says, I'm sorry, I know you just moved in, but can you please turn your music down? Okay, it's like 11 in the morning. I had all the windows open. There was so much beautiful light. Okay, I'm sorry, the sound travels. So I closed the windows and I turned down the music a little bit. Okay, and I was like, a couple weeks go by. We don't hear from Mary at all. She gives me smiles and says hi to my dog. And I was like, okay, so it was just that one instance. Maybe it was a little loud. The apartment had thin walls, whatever. No, that was not it. Then summertime comes, okay? We get an air conditioning unit. It's a standing unit, and every single day, as soon as I would turn it on, she starts banging on the ceiling with her broom. From there, it just escalates. Every time I walk in my apartment, she starts banging on her ceiling with her fucking broom. Every time I'd walk to my kitchen, there was one spot on the floors that would creak. Every time I'd walk on that spot, she'd bang on the ceiling. Every time I'm putting my clothes away and I'm closing my dresser drawers, she bangs on the ceiling. Every time she can hear my radio, she's yelling through the floor, shut up! You're too loud! Shut up! And then it gets worse. Then she resorts to calling the cops on us. Every single day for almost 2 weeks. Every time I'd wake up and I'd walk to my kitchen to go get water, she's banging on the ceiling. I got woken up at 7 in the morning to cops at my door saying, oh, we're getting noise complaints about you. I'm in bed. What do you mean you're getting noise complaints about me? I am in my bed. You woke me up out of my bed. And then they had the audacity to tell me that I need to figure out a way to get along with her. I'm not doing anything. So then I decided I'm done with this. I'm not talking to her anymore. I decided I'm going to get the property management involved. So I started recording every time she'd be yelling at us through the floor, every time she's banging on the ceiling, and what we're doing. She's banging on the ceiling, I'm sitting on my couch. She's banging on the ceiling, I'm walking to my fucking kitchen to get water. What am I doing wrong? Then my property management company tells me that she's been complaining about us, but they haven't been telling us because she's done this to the last 3 tenants that lived in my unit. 3 tenants. 3 different people before me that signed that lease that had to deal with this. And they all complained to property management about her. So now I'm saying you need to do something about this. I'm not going to be the one to just sit here and take this. I have all of this video evidence that she's being crazy. You have all of these police reports. I'm not doing anything. So they said, okay, we're going to come to her unit. We're going to listen while you do whatever you're doing. And we're going to hear from her perspective what's going on because maybe it is loud. All right. So they go to her unit. I turn on my air conditioner. My landlord is recording a video to send to me because she was on my side. Okay. She's recording a video to show me what it sounds like. At most, it sounds like a refrigerator humming. Maybe, if that. Okay? That's it. It's not loud at all. She's fucking crazy. So then property management tells me, okay, here's what we're going to do. You buy soundproofing. Buy some soundproofing, put it under the air conditioner, maybe put some blankets under it so the vibration isn't as loud and hopefully it won't bother her as much. Okay. So we spent like a couple $100 buying car soundproofing panels to put under the air conditioner. We put them under our bed in our room. We put them behind picture frames. I was trying to soundproof our apartment to please her. It doesn't work. A couple weeks go by. She's still banging and calling the cops on us. All the time, by the way. They're coming to our door weekly, and I have to explain to them the situation every single time. And every single time, they go, oh, okay. And they leave. Okay. So then one night at like 8 p.m., we are on our couch watching TV, and I get a knock at my door. I open the door. It's her. She reeks of alcohol, and she's slurring her words. So I'm like, oh, she's about to flip out on us. I pull out my phone. I start recording her. She is going off about how we're the worst neighbors and how I don't even remember what she said because I blacked it out, but she just spews drunk babble on how we are the worst and she doesn't want us to live there anymore and we need to move if we're going to be so loud and we're not considerate and blah, 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 whatever. And I'm just sitting there recording her like, okay, yeah, okay, whatever. I'm not doing anything. So then I send that video to my property management and I told them, you need to let us out of our lease or you need to evict her. I'm not dealing with this anymore. I cannot deal with the cops coming to my door weekly because of some psycho. Finally, they agreed. They let us out of the lease. We moved out. We moved into this apartment now, and everything was great for 3 years. 3 years. One day, I notice a car on our street that looks oddly familiar. It's hers. I'm thinking, oh, what is her car doing here? She must be visiting someone, right? She moved into my new complex. She lives by me again. She lives on the other side of my new complex, so I don't have to live right next to her, but I see her all the time going to do laundry, and every time she walks by me, she goes, what? Who did I piss off in this world that this is my karma? I am a good person, okay? I don't know what I did to deserve this, but she fucking lives next to us now. And ever since she moved in, we've been getting so many more emails from this property management company saying, we need to be considerate of our noise in the complex. We need to be considerate of our neighbors. Please turn your TVs down after 10. It's because of her, right? Like, she has to be complaining about the people that she lives next to now. So now, what do? I want to do something. So I'm thinking, should I pull my property manager, who lives right next to me, aside and show her the videos that I have of her? And be like, is this the girl complaining? Is this her? You shouldn't have let her move in here. I don't know what to do. I'm freaking out. She saw me today walking up the stairs and she's like, I will fight you. I want to like really inconvenience her. Like, I want to do something that's going to make her life really annoying, but I don't want to do anything illegal. What should I do? I need ideas. Thank you for listening if you made it this far. I will have updates for you because I am going to tell my property manager as soon as I see her.
I did not believe in ghosts until Monday night. My whole life, I'm just naturally skeptic about like the good spirits and the bad spirits. Like I have a hard time believing in anything, you know? My husband believes in everything. So, you know, he's claimed to have spirits visit him throughout his life, you know, and things like that. But I have just always been like, okay, yeah, I believe that you believe you saw that. But then, like, you know, I don't know. I have a hard time with that. Monday night, though, I was laying in bed. My bed faces the door, which was open, and then there's the hallway, which is just a wall. Okay, so my husband was playing video games, and sometimes he comes up and checks on me, and then he goes back down. So I see a shadow of what I had no reason other than to believe that was him come check on me and leave. So I called him and I was like, hey, can you come back upstairs? I want to talk to you for a second. And then he was like, oh, no, I'm in the basement. What do you mean? I was never upstairs. And I was like, oh, okay. Someone's in the house. Come upstairs. Grab your weapon and come upstairs. So he runs upstairs with his weapon. We're looking around the house. This is all happening very quickly. There's nowhere that anyone could have gone in that amount of time or we wouldn't have found them. So, I mean, at this point, I'm not thinking anything paranormal still. I'm just thinking like someone's in my house, so I'm checking on my babies. I looked everywhere in my kids' rooms. My daughter was asleep on my floor because she wasn't feeling good, so I looked in my room. Everything was good. There was no one there. No windows were open. No doors were unlocked. So we go downstairs. We kind of start talking about it. He's already convinced himself that it's paranormal, so he's called his family members that have also seen paranormal things in their lifetime, and he's talked to them, and we go upstairs and we see like where the light was, and I'm like, okay, something else had to have happened. Like something else could have cast that shadow. Like maybe there was a bug fly in front of the light or something. Like let's just mess around with the light, see what could have caused the shadow. The only way that I found that could have cast a shadow the way that it would have had to have been a very, very tall person to cast from where I saw on the wall all the way down. And it would have had to have been standing in the nursery doorway. So I think that's weird, but I'm still, I'm not going to that place. Like, it just, okay, I kind of am now, I guess. I should be honest. I kind of am thinking about it, but not like I'm still in denial. So I'm looking around. We don't see anything. I don't have, like, a bad feeling or anything. I feel pretty neutral. People say like that you can feel evil energy. I don't know, but I didn't feel anything. So, I was downstairs, kind of just like looking around, and then my husband went into the nursery, starts yelling, "Get the babies!" So he picks up what happened was he saw the spirit that he had seen throughout his childhood standing above our daughter in her crib. And so we were out of that house in 20 seconds in the car on the way to my mom's house. Like, that's just, we were gone. We were not risking anything. I'm a skeptic, but I'm not stupid. I'm getting out of there. So then we have animals. So we had to go back in the morning to go feed our animals. He went with my dad. My dad went to go, check things out. I stayed at my mom's house with my babies. They came back. They were like, nothing's weird. We didn't feel anything. All good. So now I'm not worried. We went back at night to feed the animals dinner. We're like, okay, we're going to stay at the house one more time just because, we're still like a little freaked out of what it could have been because I know what I saw. I know that someone was there. Like, I don't know. I know that I saw something. So I'm still a little freaked out. So I go over there with my husband to feed the dog, but I'm not even worried. So I open the door, not even scared. And every cabinet and every drawer in my kitchen was wide open. My husband didn't leave it that way. My dad said that they were all closed when they left. And then I went into each of my rooms, each of like my kids' rooms and my room, and all the drawers were wide open. I went into my bathroom, wide open. My cabinets were wide open. So I was freaked out. I was out of there. We called my parents. They came. All four of us were walking through the house, trying to see like if something was taken, trying to see if like someone had broken into my house. There was nothing taken. There were no like entrances of the home that were left unlocked or like weirdly opened or anything. Any of the valuable stuff in my house was still there. So it didn't look like someone had broken in, but I don't know. So I am feeling weird about it. I do feel, I don't know, like I sound crazy being like, there's a ghost in my house, but I don't know. Like I'm freaked out now. So now what I'm going to do about it is I'm going to go and I'm going to salt the outside of my house. I'm going to go give it a good sage. I'm going to get a religious leader to come bless the home, kind of say a prayer over everything, and we'll see what happens. I'll keep you guys updated. But now I have like my cameras working, and because my cameras were there, but they weren't like, I have like a blink camera, and so my notifications and like movement was off. So now I have it on, and it'll notify me if there's any movement or activity. I don't know. I feel stupid saying this, but I'm scared. I don't know how to like explain some of that. But yeah, keep you guys updated.
82% of CIA agents are men, which is crazy to me because one time I used a guy's public Venmo transaction history and his Twitter likes to figure out that he was also seeing a girl across the country. And I just don't believe a man could do that.
Hey guys, so I have another story for you. This is an older story. I've shared it before. I'm going to condense it down to one video. This is probably without question the spookiest call I've ever been on in my law enforcement career, and I hope it never gets topped. But anyhow, it was several years ago. I was on the overnight shift. It was like 4 o'clock in the morning. It was around Halloween time, so it's already got that spooky season feel. This elderly gentleman who lived out in the country, he drove to town for whatever reason and went to this 24/7 gas station, asked the clerk if he could use the phone to call 911. The clerk, of course, said yes. He calls 911 and tells dispatch something along the lines of like, my wife's missing or she's been kidnapped or something, yada, yada, yada. And to have the officer meet me at our residence. So I go to the residence, and as I pull up and I get out, I don't see any red flags, if you will. Normally in a situation like this, you would see or hear some commotion. You would have something standing out to you. I'm not getting that. It looks very calm, very quaint. I don't know what I'm really walking into at this point. I have terrible officer awareness. I walk up the driveway and I pass his truck, and he hops out of the truck behind me, and as I turn around, he's got a handgun. And he's extremely agitated and upset and emotional at the fact that his wife is missing or kidnapped or whatever it was. So after a few minutes of coaxing the handgun from him and make it safe, I put it on the hood of his truck. I'm like, okay, talk to me, what's going on? And he says, okay, follow me to the house. So I follow him to the house, and as he gets to the door, he says, and I will never forget this, he says, do you believe in God? And I said, yes, I do. And he says, good. And that means you believe in the devil. And I'm like, what? So he opens the door. He says, forgive me for all the candles. He says, that's the only way we can keep it out or something like that. And there's no candles, but yet he's tiptoeing through the living room like he doesn't want to step over these mysterious candles. There's no candles. So as I'm walking in the living room and all the furniture's gone, it's just an empty room. Like, I don't know if they're moving or they just moved in. It's just completely bare and empty. Although at every window around the home, I see a rifle or a shotgun, and I see spent shell casings and bullet casings. And I'm like, hey, bro, what's up with this? And he said, oh, I've been shooting out at these demons outside all night, trying to keep them out from coming in the house. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, well, we're not going to have that right now. So he lets me make all of his firearms safe, and talking to him, trying to figure out where his wife may be. And then we're in this cabin-esque home, and there's a loft, and I see above us his elderly wife comes to the edge of the loft, and she's wearing this white, like, robe, you know, like something Ebenezer Scrooge would wear. A little creepy looking, you know, and she's just standing there staring down at us. And I'm like, all right, she seems sensible. I'm going to go upstairs. I'm going to talk to her, because obviously he's the issue and we need to get him some mental health treatment. So I'm like, hey, I found her. And he's like, oh, that's great news. That's great news. You know, he's all excited. He's calmed down now. He's like, she's safe. She's sound. Good to go. So I'm like, we should be in and out in 5 minutes. So as I walk up the steps, I go up there and I talk to her, and I'm like, hey, ma'am, your husband's having some mental health issues. And she's like, I know. And she's like, I don't know what to do with him. I'm like, I get it. You know, boys will be boys, but I'm going to have to take him to the hospital. And I'm like, I'm going to probably need you to help me out and, you know, convince him to go with me. And I think we're on the same page. And all of a sudden she says, am I in trouble? And I'm like, no. Why would you be in trouble? And she's like, well, I'm curious. And I'm like, well, he's not in any trouble either. But why did you say, are you in trouble? Like, there's something not right about how she said it. And she said, well, because I fed it. I'm like, fed what? She's like, I was feeding the devil babies. And I'm like, what? Like, I get it. He's having a mental health issue, but it's very rare, if not impossible, in my opinion, to have two people having both the same mental health issues. And I'm like, run that back again. And she said, I stole babies, and the only way I could keep the devil happy and away from us, because he broke into the home, was to throw them over the loft, because I'm only safe when I'm up here, elevated, and the devil's down there. I throw the babies over the loft or the balcony, and the devil feeds them. Or I feed the devil. But the problem is he won't leave me alone now. He's attached to me, and I'm like, okay, you know what? Actually, I'm going to go back down and talk to your husband. He's the more sensible one. I'm like, I'm never sleeping again. So I go down the steps. I talk to the husband. I'm like, bro, both you and your wife are going to have to take a trip with me to the hospital. And he is now freaking out. He's trying to run outside. I don't know why. I'm trying to wheel him in. I'm like, dude, I don't want you to go out there. It's pitch black. It's the middle of the night. Like, what is it out there that you need to do? And he's like, I need to get the devil away. I need to get the devil away from my house. I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's like, the devil is throwing the babies into the fire. And I'm like, what? And he said the demons are dancing around the fire, and the devil is in the middle, and he's throwing the babies in the fire, and it's making the fire bigger, and I have to go put out the fire. And I'm like, bro, come back to reality. There is nothing out there. I am looking, and it is pitch black out there. And he's like, oh, you messed up. He's like, you just pissed them off. They're all looking at you now. And he's like, oh, they're running over here. They're running over here. And I'm like, well, shut the shades. Like, I shut the shades, and I'm like, now I'm wigging out. And I'm like, all right, look, we need to come back to reality. Luckily at that time, another deputy shows up. The ambulance shows up. We both convince them to go to the hospital and get some mental health treatment. They do the same thing at the hospital. The doctor's like, I'm going to send him away, and hopefully we can get this fixed. They went away for a few days. They came back, and I never dealt with them again. I never had to go to the house again. Sadly, I did hear that the elderly lady later passed on a few years later. But to this day, I've never had a call where both people were suffering from the same delusion. And in my opinion, there was something extra sinister involved there that's beyond what medicine or therapy could solve, if you will. But I want to know your thoughts. Tell me what you think. Thanks, guys. Bye.
I like to play a little game at home called Refrigerator Jenga, where I try to remove something from the very back without moving any of the items cluttered in front of it. And it's fun because if I win, I get my item and I feel proud of myself. And if I lose, I spend 40 minutes cleaning up marinara and broken glass off the floor.
This is one of the scariest stories I've ever read. It was posted 10 years ago on Reddit by an account called A Writer Named Williams. It was on the subreddit called Let's Not Meet. The story is called Poker Face. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this very scary story. This happened in Antioch, California. It was around 2 a.m. I was at a friend's house, safe in warm, sheltered suburbia. We were having a lot to drink, chit-chatting, enjoying ourselves, of course. When you're having fun, time hits the fast-forward button, and those few minutes turn into an hour. I had too much to drink. My friend has a bit of an abrupt bedtime, so I had to dodge out early, still intoxicated. I felt too shameful thinking I'd be asking too much to stay in his house to sleep off the drunkenness. I suppose he was either too rude or too drunk to consider it himself. Whatever. Sometimes a little inconvenience makes you appreciate everything else. I needed about another hour or so to sober up and drive back. As fast as time passed during my stay, it decided to drastically slow down as soon as I stepped out of his house. It was a cul-de-sac area, a concrete jungle with the stem of the street breaking into a fork. Alongside the road, my car was parked. The only street light that worked was in the middle of the cul-de-sac circle, about 80 yards away. I stumbled towards my car, produced my keys, and felt the metal line up. Opened my door and shifted to the back seat. Because this was a dark, strange, and unfamiliar neighborhood, I took the leftover newspapers and a sweater in my back seat to cover myself up. I was a little scared. I wanted to camouflage myself and not just be some guy awkwardly sitting in his car, waiting for time to pass in order to drive home. I couldn't fall asleep. The uncomfortable feeling of a cheap backseat bed enshrouded in darkness didn't make the chance of slumber easier. It felt too ominous, and of course my mind began to wonder. I thought of worst-case scenarios, like how the police would shine their lights on me through the window, or a drunk driver hitting my car, and... Wait. In the distance, about 100 yards away, I hear footsteps approaching. The gravel scuffed with each step forward, growing in proximity but periodically taking stops. I wondered why until it made sense in my mind. Whoever it was probably looking through cars carefully, with the intent to steal one. I couldn't recall how many cars were on the block, but I counted 3 full stops until he was at my window, breathing. I froze. There was no more than 1 foot between us. The car encapsulated me as I lay hidden beneath backseat clutter, forming myself into an object, trying my hardest to be unnoticeable, unmoving, and simply not there. "I see you," said a 40-plus-year-old man in a perverse baby talk. I imagine when you were playing hide and seek and one of your friends tricks you into coming out, he said it in that tone of voice, as if baiting me, like he was questioning whether the clutter in the back seat was just clutter or a person. I didn't want to move or check the window. I remained clutter. Give me an Academy Award. My body reacted by minimizing my breathing so much that I felt paralyzed. I dare not to look. My eyes fixated on the back of the passenger seat. I didn't blink, I didn't move, I didn't breathe. My heart was pounding so hard it shook my body with each throb. He circled around the car. My ears didn't fail me. I heard the steps. I felt like I was part of the car. I could feel him touching the trunk as he carefully pressed down on it, as if to test the alarm, as if to test me. I was in the middle of fight or flight. I couldn't do either without elevating danger. I was frozen and hoping to God he was bluffing. He circled the car again. The door handle to my right jiggled. He was pulling it multiple times. "I see you." Same tone, but more agitated and stressed, more convinced that he was trying to make that clutter move, revealing itself to be one of his expectations that it was me. My muscles tensed like a cow before slaughter. That had to be metal against glass. "Take a penny right now and tap your window." A crowbar, a knife, a rock, a gun. My eyes fixated on the seat in front of me, never averting my gaze like he was. I was covered enough to where I couldn't see beyond the seat in front of me. I know I couldn't see him, but I can feel his eyes resting on top of me.
"My name is Poker Face. What's your name?"
The voice changed in a lower, demented and serious tone. My mind forced a visual. It wasn't anything human. I already accepted my death. I was ready to be shot in the head, ready to take a life-changing bullet, multiple knife wounds. Just make the sleep bearable, not excruciating, as you drain me of life. I wouldn't know how to react. My thoughts grew dimmer. I imagined my friend waking up the next morning after a calm night of safe and sound sleep, only to discover my mutilated, defiled, and bloody body hanging outside of my car door. It was then I heard nothing but my own heart. What was this person doing now? Just staring at me in the middle of the night, talking to me, or a messy pile in the back seat? Time froze. The footsteps were being swallowed in the distance. Thank God he left. I waited another hour until the sun showed hints of itself. I jumped in my front seat and bolted out of there, wide-eyed and sober. And that's the end of the story.
I had to turn on all my lights after reading this story. If you're new here, hi. I usually talk about some pretty scary stuff, and today I'm going to be talking about a story that I've been kind of putting off making the video for. And a huge driving factor on this, and now I'm going to be fully transparent about this. I'm not a fan of making videos about demonic things or demons specifically because every single time I've made a video, whether it's my personal experience or if it's someone else's, I hear things in either the background or in the audio and I have to reshoot it, something, every single time. I've also had instances where my dogs are growling at things that are not there, so you get the gist on why I'm a little hesitant to make videos about demonic things. But without further ado, let's get into it. This story comes from Lexi, who lives in West Virginia and lives in a very haunted house. She says that the hauntings started around the time when she was 6. Just for context purposes, she was 4 when her parents got a divorce, and her mom started seeing this man when she was around 6 years old, and shortly after, all of these hauntings started. And at first it was small occurrences, like her mom telling her to pick up her toys, so she would do so, and when they would come back, the toys would be scattered all across the floor. And she mentions during these instances, her mom and her both were afraid because they both knew that it was almost impossible for these things to be happening. But they continued to brush off these little noises, these little occurrences, because they could be coincidental. And Lexi says that this continued for 2 years before her mom's boyfriend moved in, and his parents actually lived down the street from Lexi's mom, where all of this stuff is occurring. And one night, Lexi, her mom, and her mom's boyfriend go down to his parents' house to have dinner. A couple of his cousins were over with their kids, and there was this little girl there who was like 2 years older than Lexi at the time, so little girl was 10, Lexi was 8. And when they were playing, this little girl just out of the blue says, "Did you know that there's an old woman who lives in the bedroom upstairs?" And at the time, she thought it was creepy, but she just kind of brushed it off, thinking that the little girl was just trying to scare her. A couple days later, her mom is walking up the stairs to use the bathroom, and Lexi just tells her mom, "Hey," little girl's name, said that there is a woman who lives in the bedroom upstairs. Her mom kind of turns around and is like, "Which bedroom?" So Lexi walks upstairs, gets to the door, and goes to look in and points and says, "This one." And as she does, she did in fact see a woman standing there, very pale, black hair, and a long nightgown. Lexi specifically said that it looked like it was from the early 1900s. And obviously upon seeing this, Lexi ran downstairs, and her mom was really confused until they got back to their house and she explained the entire situation. Lexi's mom's boyfriend was overhearing this conversation and asked her to describe this woman. And when she did, he then said that they had been seeing that same woman there for years. And this is where things take a turn for the worse. Lexi says from that point on, the encounters in her house that were once very small became very amplified and very scary. And she said specifically that many nights she would feel like there was something in the room with her, even more specifically watching her sleep. But again, she brushed it off because she thought she was just scared. Until she was having a friend sleep over, and her friend woke her up in the middle of the night to specifically tell Lexi that she had seen a woman looking at her from over the footboard, just like this. And Lexi thought it was a joke until her friend described the exact same woman she had been seeing. And I guess things get even worse, because after this instance, Lexi's mom begins telling her that she has been seeing her walk around the house when she's not home. She can hear Lexi talking when she's not home. And Lexi had been seeing this woman in mirrors, like when she's brushing her teeth, for example. And on top of this, and what I think is the scariest, Lexi would hear clapping when nobody else was home, and people talking when nobody else is home. And most recently, she tells me that they have 2 dogs, and she brought one of the dogs into her room when she starts to hear the other dog whining and a woman talking to her dog. So immediately she opens the door, tells the other dog, like, "Mom's home." The dog does not get up and greet her mom like he would normally do. And when Lexi walks out to go see her mom, she finds out that her mom is not home, her car is not in the driveway, and she is still at work. So again, she goes back in her room, closes the door. Clear as day, hears a woman say, "Come here, where are you?" And she can hear the dog go from whining to barking. So immediately, she thinks that someone has broken into her house. She locks her door, gets her softball bat out, and calls her mom to come home immediately. The dog she had with her began barking, and thankfully, her mom only works like 10 minutes away, so she rushed home. But during the time of her mom coming home, Lexi began to hear heavy footsteps coming towards her door. And Lexi specifically states that the energy felt so heavy, and when whatever was outside of the door got to the door, it got eerily silent, and the keychain she has on her door began swaying back and forth. Her mom then got home, found no one in the house, and Lexi believes that the spirit attached itself to her and followed them home and has not left, because that last instance happened like 3 weeks ago. And before I get into anything else, I just have to pause and say I've had to cut a couple of things out because I was hearing banging noises on my wall. And if you don't know, now you do. I either film early in the morning or late at night. I do this because then I don't have to worry about outside noises or my neighbors being awake, etc. So I don't know, and it's furthering the I don't like making videos about demons kind of thing. What really freaked me out was the clapping and obviously the lady looking over the footboard. I don't like that. And I swear I can almost see her face when I'm talking about this. And when I read it the first time, I could see her. But anyways, that's gonna do it for me. Stay tuned for more ghost stories.
I almost got murdered today, and this is what happened. I matched with this guy on Bumble. We exchange a few messages back and forth, and then we switched to WhatsApp. We decided to go on a date, so he planned one for today. When I asked him to send me what bar we're going to, he sent me a postcode, and he was like, meet here. So I googled the postcode, and I put on maps, and it was like flats. There was like a residential street, so I was like, what is this? I don't want to meet here, like, can we just meet at the bar? No, he was like, no, just meet me here, we can walk together. And I was like, can I just please meet you at the bar? And again, he was just like, just meet me here. Obviously, I was still gonna go to the bar. He eventually told me the bar's name. And I am coming, well, I was supposed to be in the office today, so I would have been coming from wherever my office is. And he chose a place that's like an hour away by tube. And it's a Tuesday, so I didn't really want to do that. I was like, that's too far. I don't want to be back late and then end up having to take like a really expensive Uber back to my house. And he was like, it's not far at all. Like, just walk across the bridge and then you can tube to one stop, which it wasn't. It would still take me about an hour to get there. So I was like, no, can we just meet somewhere in the middle so that we can both travel? It's not just like, I don't know. It's because he lives in that area that he wanted to do that he chose the bar in. He was adamant on not changing the location. And he was just like, why are you making such a big deal out of it? It's not a big deal. The Uber's not expensive. He like looked up the price. And he was like, it's only £15, which it would not be because from my house to the bar by Uber would be like probably £30, especially late at night. There was a bit of back and forth, and then I was like, okay, you know what? Let's just reschedule for a different day because this is obviously like not working, and now we're just like in a bit of a fight, so it's just weird and awkward, and maybe we shouldn't even go on a date. I didn't say that part. But anyways, he was like, well, I can't now because I've had to put my credit card down, and they're gonna charge me if I cancel the reservation because it's less than 24 hours. I went onto the website of the bar and I clicked reserve a table. You did not have to put your credit card down. I could easily you just have to fill out your name and that's it. And something told me to reverse image search his pictures, and I used this website. It's called facecheck.id, and it basically is like reverse image search for social profiles and stuff. I put his picture in there, and it comes up with this like fitness gym model based in Germany. I live in London. So I was like, okay. And it had a completely different name. And all the pictures that were on his profile were taken from that person's profile. So at that point, I was like, okay, what the hell? So he wanted to meet me at this random postcode, not the bar. Random postcode, looked like a residential street. I'm assuming it was his place. He was adamant on not changing the location. He specifically wanted to meet there, and he would not meet me halfway. He lied about the credit card, putting it down. And then he's not even real. So I don't know what the intention was. I don't know what would have happened if I went. And it's supposed to be in a few hours. So I obviously have not done anything. I screenshotted the profile, the fitness model's Instagram, and I sent it to him. But now I'm really scared, actually. So I reported him on Bumble. I'm going to block him on WhatsApp before he even responds. Because I don't know what would have happened. But everything is just like alarm bells. And there, I'm pretty sure that would have been the last day that I was seen alive. So, yeah, that is how I almost got killed.
Hey, y'all, so I just got back from my trip from Mexico. I do look a little crazy, y'all. It's the next day, and I just got back to Philly. But I'm here to basically tell y'all my experience in Tulum and tell y'all, do not ever go. Don't go to Mexico, y'all. It's so dangerous. It's unsafe. Don't go. Take my experience and learn from it. So our B&B was nice, y'all. This is some pictures of it. Just really beautiful overall, not gonna lie. So the reason why I stayed in a B&B and not a resort is because it was supposed to be 8 of us on the trip, but only 7 of us ended up coming, whatever, cool. But either way, I did enjoy the B&B experience, and I am glad because maybe that helped us experience less injustice. Now, it might be different for other people, but I enjoyed my Airbnb and the services rendered. Now, when we first got to Mexico, the first issue that we encountered was the rental. If you know, they make you bid for business. They all be trying to, oh, come with me, come with me. I give you discount, I give you best deal. So at first, y'all, we went to Enterprise to bid for business. They told us that they were going to give us a 8-passenger truck, and they were going to give it for $600, $500, which is literally not bad at all. But where they get you at is that once you leave the airport, you cannot come back in, which is the strangest thing that I've ever heard. Think about it. In your city, when you leave the airport, do they not let you come back in? Wow. So whatever rental place you pick, they have shuttle buses to take you to where the cars is at, and you cannot get back into the airport through certain ways. Like, you literally have to go around the entire airport to get into certain ways. And where the rental cars is at, you cannot get back into that exact place where all the rental car places are bidding for your business. So we gets there, and for one, they did not give us the right truck. They literally scammed us, and they literally played that role like they were going to give us an 8-passenger. At first, they tried to give us a 5-passenger truck. Then the 8-passenger truck that they gave us, the truck was literally so small that 8 suitcases weren't going to fit at all. And at that point, it was like, we might as well just take it, because we tried to get excursions done the first day, but that was stopping us up. The whole rental process, it was just too much. Whole time, y'all, then they try to get us to say they don't take they don't take debit cards. They need a credit card for their down deposit. So we had to go back to the airport, and we had to wait for somebody from a different rental company to come outside where the taxis and stuff is, and we had to talk to them. So we ended up going with Hertz. They gave us another bullshit car. Literally, the car speakers and the music was like staticky. It was just bullshit. It was literally bullshit. And they don't even let you try out the car before you buy it. They literally just make you buy the car, then they pull up in the car and just give it to you. That's it. That's all. But at that point, y'all, like I said, not only were we in desperate measures, but we needed a car to get around. So it was just like, we just want to take what we got to take. Then our friends are literally looking for us, y'all. They're not letting them get to Terminal 3. They're in Terminal 4, y'all. They're literally right across. They could literally see us from the windows outside of their terminal. And they would not let them come out the terminal. So they literally had to wait, and sorry to say it, but run out to get to us, because they would not let them out. They kept telling them, yeah, you can only get out if you're taking a taxi or if you're renting. Like, everything with them is money. Money, 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 money. Let's try to see how we could get this money. Other than that, the rest of the trip went smooth. I had a lot of fun. Nice restaurants, you know. A couple other restaurants was crappy that we tried. It was just one restaurant that was terrible. It's called La Taquera. Really terrible, really nasty. Do not recommend. But other than that, though, everything else was good. Cool. So the last day, we agreed to go to the airport at 6 o'clock in the morning, just because we did not know the check-in process. We'll check bags. We're in a different country. We're just trying to make sure that we get there on time at the right time. Lo and behold, our Airbnb is in the jungle, like in the forest, so it's no roads. Tulum is not fully built, if you know, you know. So they only have main roads, no service, and like where the Airbnbs and stays be at, because it just be dirt, rocks, mud. It's no roads, no streets, no nothing. Just paved roads with, I guess, mud, dirt, rocks, tree branches, all types of stuff that you will find in a jungle or a place like that. Cool, we're riding. Of course, our tire pops. So my boyfriend gets down, he tries to fix the tire, and he got everything right perfectly. The rental car gave us these corny tools to fix a tire, so that was already taking up a lot of time, literally. It was just so much going on, y'all. That's when we finally get done with the whole tire situation, y'all. It was just so much. And we get to go ride back to the airport. We're like, okay, we can still make it, y'all. We had like an hour or two left. We can still make it at this point. Come on, let's just have high energy. We're not even at this point worried about missing our flight, because we're looking at the GPS and the time is saying that we're going to make it before our flight. Of course, another problem comes. They stop us at a checkpoint where like these cops are at with the AK-47. You might as well say the cartel. Call it spade to spade. They stop us, y'all. They let all the cars pass. And of course, they stop us and pull us over. It's a checkpoint. It's like a toll, but people are standing there with guns, basically telling you if you could go or if, like, you have to get pulled over to get an inspection. So they're inspecting our car and saying that we're breaking laws because we don't have a seatbelt on, which is respectable. But then they're saying we're breaking laws because we're lapping it up, because the suitcases are taking up so much room in the back that we had to put one of the rows down in the seats and like had to sit on each other's lap. So they tell my mom, get out the car after asking for the registrations, the license, y'all. She's doing everything that they're asking. They tell her to step out the car. At this point, everybody's heart is beating because y'all got these big guns. The man is clutching on the trigger. What are y'all going to do to my mom? Like, it was such a scary experience, and it was just uncomfortable. Then y'all barely speaking English. Y'all just, like, it's just weird. Like, y'all just picking at this point. So she tells my mom, yeah, pay $400 or you go to jail. Why would somebody want to go to jail? And that's messed up, because what if somebody don't have $400 and you're not supposed to do that? That's like a cop pulling you over and say, yeah, pay $400 or you go to jail. What? So they tell her, yeah, pay $400 or you go to jail. They want to say, yeah, as a matter of fact, I'll do you a favor and give you a 50% off discount. What? What are y'all talking about? So then my mom like, okay, I don't have cash. Like, I only carry a card. We don't take card. Yeah, y'all don't, because y'all know that those transactions are going to show, and that's illegal. You're not supposed to do that. So then they like, yeah, go over there, get the money, and come back by yourself. They told my mom to come back by herself. What? Like, what is wrong with these people, y'all? And then they took my mom ID basically as a way to tell her, like, yeah, you have no other choice but to come back. We have your information. We have your ID. So my mom goes to get the money, and she walks back by herself, and my heart is literally beating, y'all. I get out of the car, and me and my boyfriend, we watching my mom from a distance, because at this point, like, we're panicking. People in the car is literally mad that they're about to miss their flight, and all I'm worried about, truthfully, is the fact that something could happen to my mom. Simple. Like, this man is walking over with an AK-47, clutching his gun. It's just too much. Like, I've never been in a situation like this before. So they ain't gonna tell my mom, put it down, put your hand down. Basically saying, put your hand down so nobody see what's going on. Give me the money down low so nobody knows what's going on. And as he tells my mom to put her hand down, like, he pointing the gun, like, basically, like, directing the gun to put her hands down. Like, that's say, yeah, no other checkpoints will stop you because you already paid. Lo and behold, we get stopped by another checkpoint. Like, at this point, I'm literally irritated. I'm literally so irritated. Like, I'm irked. Then we get to the airport. We're rushing. They gave us injustice. We had to book a whole nother flight, y'all. We had to stay at the airport. We're at Starbucks. Starbucks closed at 9 o'clock in the airport. 10 o'clock p.m. in the airport. And then they had the audacity to say that their airport closes at 9 p.m. I never heard of an airport closing. I thought our airports was 24/7. And it was other people, y'all, that was going through the same thing. They were kicking them out the airports. Literally, basically saying, like, they don't have a hotel, no car, no rental. Because at that point, you already returned your car. You already checked out your hotel, checked out your Airbnb. You just have to sleep outside till the airport opens up again. I don't know, find a way. It's basically what they tell you. That's so cruel. Then on the way back, they basically put, like, a warning on my friend to basically say, like, she's danger, check her. So every time we went through TSA at another airport, they pulled her in the room with cops, checked her down, checked her bag, scanned her phone, did all of this stuff for no reason, y'all. No reason. They checked my boyfriend, literally dumped out the stuff in his bag, patted him down, patted his dreads down, saying that, why? Because he's black with tattoos? That he was that they were scared that he was going to bring in cocaine. Then they don't talk English. They talk Spanish. So everything that you do, they get over on you. If they know that you don't talk Spanish and they know that you're not from here, they get over on you. They look at it like, oh yeah, we about to get this money. Then they made my boyfriend miss the shuttle buses, y'all. When we were at the, first of all, I forgot to tell y'all. When we were literally at the rental car, returning our car, they kept talking on the speakers, making the shuttle buses go past us. We put our we put our airports in this one shuttle bus. This Mexican man took all of our bags out, all of our luggage out the shuttle bus and pulled off on us. And we kept telling them that we were in an urgency to get to the airport. So if you're stuck in a situation like that, don't tell them, because then they do stuff to hold you back up so that you can stay in their country and spend more money and buy another ticket. They are all working together to get more money from tourists, and that is not okay. I understand that your country is kind of poor, but you do not